ya uhalifu na kutojali sheria.
We have to work hard so that we can justify the faith, the commitment, the sacrifice you have made to make us who we are.
I am really, Your Excellency, very impressed by the Kidik style of management.
That has been of great benefit to all our member states. Now, of course, in the European Union, this process has taken a long time, indeed many decades. So for others that try to follow that model, I think one has to be patient. Of course, here in Kenya, we have seen very positive developments over the last years, during which the government has been actively improving management and coordination of its border points, as well as focusing increasingly on the development of border areas. This has included the establishments of the Border Control and Operations Coordination Committee, the Border Management Secretariat at the national level, and border management committees and joint operation centers at the ports of entry and exit. We are supporting this process, and we do that in the context of our Global Gateway, which aims to boost sustainable and trusted connections that work for people and more broadly for the planet. Let me just highlight three main aspects of our support. I think the first one would be the Better Migration Management Program, which is also co-financing this initiative. It aims to enable national authorities and institutions to facilitate safe, orderly and regular migration and address human trafficking by applying a human rights-based approach. This program has been in implementation since 2016, so we already are in its 8th year. It's already a third phase, milestones on improving migration governance and tackling human trafficking. Under this stream of our work, border prominently showcased by this National Border Conference. The second area of our support is around the Borderlands program. The EU has for a long time advocated for an integrated approach to borderlands in the Horn of Africa region. Following the IGAD border clusters, we have thus worked through a number of partners to address drivers of conflict, improve social cohesion, and strengthen the resilience of communities living in close proximity to borders. Currently, we support 3 of these border clusters, namely the border between Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, the Moyale border, and the Mandera or Somali Triangle, border area between Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia. The third element that I should highlight here is the Global Gateway one-stop border posts. We have identified regional and continental transport and infrastructure corridors as one of our priorities under the Global Gateway approach, and that's where we are channeling our support. Under this initiative, we will be looking at developing of one-stop border posts, including in Kenya. We're in an early planning stage at this point, but we are confident that it can contribute to Kenya's overall strategy on both infrastructure development and the management of borders. With these 3 initiatives, but we of course have other elements around, we hope to make a small contribution to Kenya's overall border management system and coordination, as well as allowing some of the more remote borderland areas to reach similar levels of development as the rest of the country. I should probably mention I was in Marsabit about 10 days ago, and I can see that the investment we are putting there is making a significant difference for people on the ground. Let me thank you once again for getting the opportunity to speak today. I think there is a range of very serious sessions that we have had. It's a very high-level conference, I think really important moment, and it's covering the area from many different angles: human mobility, security, trade, and regional integration, all these different aspects of border management. So really very thorough, and we are glad to be part of that. And so let me just wish you all a successful conference and results that move us forward in the context of this wonderful region that I have the benefit of being in at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause. It's now my pleasure to welcome His Excellency Alexander Farley, Deputy Head of Mission Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, Kenya. Shall we welcome him kindly?
Thank you very much, and good morning all together. It's impressive to see so many honorable guests here. Professor Kempinski, the Cabinet Secretary of the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, the Honorable Dr. Raimund Omolo, Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, Mrs. Sharon Dimanche, whom I meet quite often from the IRM. She's the Chief of Mission, and my colleague André Simek from the EU delegation, the Deputy Head of the delegation, Deputy Ambassador. And it's impressive to see so many international guests here from neighboring countries. A warm welcome to you as well, and also from abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, very warm welcome again. When we talk about border management, I think the EU is a case, and it's very interesting to see from where we came and where we went to. You all know that we had this catastrophe and today, and that's already for the past 20-30 years, when I drive from Germany to the country, and that I'm in a different country, the only sign that you are now leaving Germany and you're entering France, or you're now leaving that we had in Europe, the open borders that allow free trade, as André already mentioned, but also free flow of persons. I think a big achievement of the European Union, and one which is very visible to every citizen of the European Union. Also means that the European Union has an external border, and to protect this external border, I think, is a discussion in the European Union between security, rule of law on the one hand side, and free flow of persons, also migrants. Right? And I think discussions will continue, and it's going to be a very controversial discussion also in the future, which is the right way. of the cooperation in the European Union is, of course, the national border management. I think that's a big, also a big achievement and Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya shares 3,556 kilometers of land border with its neighbors. The border stretches 536 kilometers along the Indian Ocean and Lake Victoria. Kenya has 35 points of entry along those land and sea borders, including 9 points of entry at airports. 3 years ago, $26 billion worth of goods entered and left the country. We have tourists, we have business people, and we have border communities and their livestock that pass the border every day. And where borders are managed effectively, trade flows, people and goods move with ease, and the cost of doing business is reduced. Border communities benefit, and Kenya benefits, and the neighboring countries benefit. Kenya has already implemented one-stop border posts at 7 points of entry. These so-called OSBP facilitate better coordination or even integration of services by the relevant government agencies based at the borders as well as on both sides of the border. Better cooperation through various mechanisms like the Border Control and Operations Coordination Committee and the Border Management Secretariat also ensures that illegal and criminal cross-border activity is identified and investigated more effectively. This ensures the integrity of Kenya's borders and protects the victims of transnational organized crime. Andre has already mentioned that Germany, together with the EU, has supported the strengthening of coordinated border management through its funding of the Better Migration Management since 2016. IOM, as one of the implementing partners of this program, has helped strengthening border management capacity not just in Kenya, but across the Horn of Africa. The countries of the Horn of Africa region are places of origin, transit, and destination countries of migrants and refugees. In 2021, UNHCR estimated the number of migrants in the Horn of Africa at around 5.7 million, many of them putting themselves at risk. If that borders in the region are managed safely and orderly by applying a human rights-based approach. Here in Kenya, IOM, through Better Migration Management, has provided equipment and training, facilitated community awareness and engagement, and conducted assessments focusing on the humanitarian nexus of border management. These efforts have contributed to making Kenya's OSBP a benchmark in the region. Together with the EU and in partnership with IGAD, Germany is also supporting a new project focusing on peaceful and resilient borderlands. The project will work with border communities and authorities in the 3 IGAD clusters, Karamoja, Moyale, and Mandera, to strengthen conflict prevention and resilience against climate change and disasters. This conference contributes to sharing the vast knowledge and experience that exists between practitioners and policymakers across the various agencies and organizations represented here today, and of course across all the countries that are present. It will ensure that we learn from each other and build, bringing together a wealth of knowledge to discuss emerging challenges in border management. As Kenya's partner, Germany supports effective border management that addresses current and future challenges for the benefit of Kenya, its people, as well as the security and prosperity of the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause, kindly. I'm well informed that the South Sudanese delegation is already with us. Wherever you are, please be upstanding so that we acknowledge your presence. South Sudanese. Aha, you may want to stand up kindly. Thank you so much. Karibu sana. And also the Ugandan delegation is also here. Please, thank you so much. Just before I bring Madam Sharon, I want to request the Chair of Parliamentary Committee, Administration and Internal Security, Honorable Gabriel Tongoyo, to speak to us briefly, kindly. A round of applause to welcome him.
Thank you so much. Our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency is the Ambassadors and Head of Missions, the Permanent Secretary's presence, our partners led by IOM, and other distinguished guests. Good morning. I've already been introduced, but I can repeat it. It's a hard name. My name is Gabriel Koshal Tongoyo. I'm a member of Parliament representing a constituency known as Narok West. Commonly, actually it's Masai Mara. I know majority of you can able to associate it better by introducing it like that. And Chairman, Committee Administration and National Security National Assembly. And it is also a pleasure to be here to attend this important conference on national border management. So I take this opportunity on behalf of Kenyan Parliament and myself also to welcome all of us here. Karibuni Kenya, kuna matata. So welcome to Kenya. Of course, it's a visa-free country. Yeah, and you know, when you talk about border, I also represent a constituency where the wilderness migration don't know what is visa and they don't have borders. They move freely between Kenya and Tanzania and the rest of the neighboring countries. So it's also a pleasure to be here to attend this important conference. And when we talk about Parliament, or of course when we talk about border management, and we're not just talking about geographical boundaries, we are talking about communities that live along the borders. And of course, as a member of Parliament, we are the representative of the people. And that underpins the importance of Parliament on matters border security. And of course, more importantly, when you're talking about the Committee on National Security and Administration. So just want to say the following. Parliament plays a very important role as it provides the legal environment within which border management and national security exist. This role not only provides for the legislation of laws, but it also provides for the allocation of funds and oversight of various government agencies assigned the role of border management and national security within their country in order to ensure accountability. Through the budget-making process, Parliament is able to direct funds into sectors such as that of national security that require urgent attention. Therefore, it is important for security agencies to provide total disclosure of information in order for Parliament the legislative disclosure, which provide for inclusivity of the people in lawmaking. Inclusivity presents itself through public participation on proposed laws, petitions, and inquiries pursuant to the provision of Article 118 of the Constitution of Kenya. The members of Parliament are able to raise issues in Parliament emanating from their constituencies. Of course, people in their constituencies on matters border management and national security through statements and questions to be responded by the Ministry of Interior. And this also serves as accountability by the ministry and as a guide to the creation and amendments to the legislation. Border management and national security transcend the Kenyan border, and therefore it is imperative to continuously carry out capacity building activities around border management, control dynamics in order to carry out evidence-based legislation. There are few enacted laws, regulation in regards to border management undertaken by the National Assembly or Parliament. And the following laws have been enacted by the National Assembly in regards to the border management and national security. Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Act 2011. In 2014, the government amended the Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Act under Section 75 of the Security Laws Act by adding Section 5A to 5D to establish Border Control and Operation Coordination Committee, which is actually the organizers of this, to enhance border efficiency and interagency coordination in border management. Kenya Citizenship and Migration Act Regulation 2012. East African Community Common Market Protocol 2010. East African One-Stop Border Post Act of 2016. And of course, the Immigration Border Procedures and Operation Manual 2017. The government of Kenya, with the support of IOM, the UN Migration Agency, launched the revised Migration Border Procedure and Operation Manual reflecting new migration laws, policies, and procedures. The manual was first developed in 2006 and later revised in 2010 to accommodate further changes. Parliament may undertake the following to foster cooperation with other parliaments: benchmarking visits, education tours to neighboring and regional countries in terms of border post security management, meeting with the counterpart security committees from parliaments in neighboring regional countries in legislation and border management. To ensure the efficient ratification of treaties, convention, and agreement touching on border management by the National Assembly, and to create regional legislation and border management in regional parliaments such as the East African Legislative Assembly, YALA, and Pan-African Parliament, PAP, that may are applicable to all countries. Thank you so much, and I say welcome once more.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa. Now, Madam Sharon Dimanche assumed a role as the Chief of Mission, IOM Kenya Country Office in Nairobi on 1st November 2019. Among its many other responsibilities as the Chief of Mission, she leads IOM Kenya Mission in building on IOM Kenya's strategic position and expertise to the development of capacity building in migration management programs, advising regional office and headquarters on national policy and emergency matters, as well as government's migration policies, and contribute to IOM overall mandate and strategy through project development and implementation in Kenya in consultation with the regional office, headquarters, member states, and other relevant actors. Mrs. Sharon brings about 16 years worth of experience to Kenya Mission. She was most recently the Deputy Chief of Mission Development, IOM Dhaka, Bangladesh, responsible for the development portfolio of the mission, including overseeing the overall implementation and monitoring of program activities, steering the development and implementation of the mission strategy. Among its many others, one of her main contributions was as GMC focal point and chair of the UN Migration Network in Bangladesh. Ahead of many countries, she helped steer the establishment of Bangladesh UN Migration Network, being referenced as a model national UN migration network. Prior to Bangladesh, she was the IOM Myanmar, where she headed the Migrant Protection Unit, charged with project development, management, and implementation, fostering and developing strategic priorities in the area of migrant protection, labor migration, border management, donor liaison, and resource mobilization. She also served as IOM Special Liaison Office at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, as the Migration Management Program Coordinator, where, among others, she is largely credited for initiating and coordinating the African Union Horn of Africa Initiative on Human Trafficking and Smuggling of Migrants, which led to the adoption of the Khartoum Declaration in October 2014, and relevant strategies to address irregular migration challenges. Ms. Dimanche holds a master's degree in international relations and diplomatic studies and a Bachelor of Laws. And she is fluent in English and also can speak very well in Kiswahili. Shall we receive her to speak to us kindly?
Thank you very much, Secretary, for that kind introduction. I'm always very discreet, so I don't know why you had to give all that introduction. Hamjambo. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our Honorable Professor Kindiki, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, my brother, Dr. Omolo, the PS, State Department of Internal Security and National Administration, and our dear PSs in our midst. I see Ambassador Bitok, the ESC PS, and all the other PSs in our midst, the senior government officials, our development partners from EU and Germany, the Border Controls Operations Coordination Committee, BCOCC principals in our midst, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and without forgetting our dear delegates from the government of Somalia, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. A very good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very humbled to be here this morning speaking to you on issues of border management. Your presence here is a demonstration of your commitment to address border management challenges, facilitate trade development in Kenya, first of all, but the region as a whole. But before going into that, I would really want to extend my sincere appreciation and thanks to our chief guest, Honorable Professor Kindiki, to be in our midst to a great. Asante sana Waziri for joining us. Very critical event. You heard from our BMS, first of its kind in Kenya, and I would say in the continent, coming together and talking about border management. So Kenya, you are the country of firsts. I came to Kenya officially 1st November 2019. That's when I joined this mission. We held the first ministerial conference on labor migration hosted by the government of Kenya that brought in all the ministers of labor from East and Horn of Africa to address labor migration challenges. It's always a country that has that foresight, bring together all the brothers and sisters for challenges. So that greatest gift that you have of is a demonstration of your commitment, really, to work together, the spirit of togetherness, and again, as a big brother, because as a big brother, you have to bring everyone together to make sure that indeed we all benefit. So it's not just Kenya benefiting, but all of us. So really, thank you so much, Waziri, under your leadership and the leadership of the government of Kenya as a whole in moving forward the migration agenda. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the fact that we are coming here today to having all the border management officials to sit, to have a dialogue, to take stock of our achievements to date, evaluate the challenges, look at the strategies on how we can ensure a common ground where we can all work together towards the same goal for a better, speedy facilitation of legitimate travel and trade, and ensuring safety and security in this region is very commendable. So really, thank you again. But I don't want us to just sit only for today and saying, okay, maybe 5 years down the road and saying we came to Kenya and sat and took stock of what we have done and then maybe made some recommendations and stopped here. I would like to challenge ourselves just the same way we sat on 2nd of January to look at the Regional Ministerial Forum on migration issues that actually has continued to date to discuss on migration challenges, that we can also have a very special platform that is looking at border management issues. So Waziri, with your permission, I'm challenging this team today, and even to bring it to your attention, if you can kindly maybe make a recommendation that you're coming up with a platform that will continuously engage and discuss, look at critical issues on border management. That's very critical. So if we don't achieve anything, at least if we agree to have that sort of a platform, I think you will have been very successful in organizing this very event. The theme for today, as we had in the morning, is building on coordination and moving towards integration. This is very well aligned with a growing recognition of regional integration as a powerful driver for economic empowerment and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know that well-managed and safe, orderly and regular migration is a critical enabler and facilitator of positive growth and presents an opportunity to both migrants, host communities, and governments. Kenya, being an anchor state within East and Horn of Africa, is a major mobility hub. We see many people on the move into Kenya, through Kenya, and looking at Kenya as a destination country. And of course, the fact that Kenya, God blessed Kenya in a special way with your strategic location, being, along the seaport, it means that everything that enters into Kenya, many countries are benefiting from you. So there's a lot besides human mobility. We have even goods transiting, through Kenya. And what does that mean? If we talk about border management, I think we need to look into how do we strike a balance. Striking a balance between facilitation, but also control. Because Kenya is a gateway to so many countries. The security of Kenya will have an impact on security in the region, East and Horn of Africa, but even beyond. So getting together and sit and think through, there are a lot of opportunities, but how do we ensure that we have bona fide travelers crossing into Kenya? But at the same time, we make sure we indeed facilitate and mitigate the movement of illicit human beings, including illicit goods. So the fact that Kenya opened its doors and ensure that we have a free visa, like Mheshimiwa here mentioned. Did you say free visa or free entry? Visa-free country. These are two different things. It means, yes, you've opened your doors, you are welcoming everybody, but at the same time, we have to ensure that we put in place some mitigation measures where we have safety. And IOM would like to reiterate our commitment to work with you to support the government of Kenya in ensuring that as we have the visa-free, we can also ensure the safety of those who are coming into the country. But besides that, not just the safety, but we have to do it in an expedited manner. Just imagine, Waziri, we have how many trucks? I remember during COVID, we had so many trucks, everything was closed, all the borders were shut. But there were, I think, about 12 kilometers of trucks, of borders, of trucks along the borders. I remember I went to Busia, where IOM was called upon to support, I think, with ESC ministry to expedite the clearance of trucks to cross because of COVID. And IOM came in to support with the testing and all that. But the time that the trucks took on that road, it meant millions and millions of money was, lost. Because if you have a truck of goods that spends 1 week, it means you have a driver who is eating, spending money. But at the same time, maybe if you have perishable goods in there, they'll get spoiled, they'll get destroyed, and you're losing millions of money. But if you just, again, release them without checking, it means maybe there could be something else. So you have to strike that balance to expedite the clearance of those goods, but make sure that whatever is in those trucks is safe, is secure, has been paid for, including taxes, to generate money not just for the government of Kenya, but I think for the entire region. That is how you're going to ensure that you are leveraging migration for development, and you can gain all those profits that we are looking at. So there are lots of challenges, but I believe with those challenges that come, there are lots of opportunities as well, and that can only be addressed if we work together. And the fact that we are having everybody on the table from those countries that we've had who are here in our midst, and Kenya leading this whole dialogue, it means we are ready to face the challenge heads on and get some solutions that are working not just for Kenya, but for the entire region. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, again to mention that when we maximize the benefits of border management in the context of regional integration and cross-border cooperation, we all benefit. And this is not just a one person, one single agency, and neither one government responsibility. It is the responsibility of each one of us in this room. All governments have to work together. Promoting integration for development requires cooperation at all levels. The global levels, that's why I think we have our development partners in our midst. At the regional levels, I would expect to have our regional economic bodies in our midst, the EAC, the IGAD, including, of course, national. And I'm glad to have the different government entities today, all the senior government officials, of course, led by Waziri, but we have the PSCs, you know, all the ambassadors, the senior officials from different countries, including Kenya, and the non-government actors. So this requires, you know, a whole of government approach and a whole of society approach. So really, thank you so much. Waziri, if I leave without mentioning the progress which you have made as Waziri, first of all, because I believe everything that moves is because of great leadership. And you have an excellent team. They've been doing an amazing job. So I would like to commend the work that you have done. I have witnessed very positive strides that have been made so far by the government of Kenya. And IOM is very privileged to be part of this journey that you have walked. I've seen the benefits, you know, that you have harnessed, and the challenges that you have experienced, you know, for sure inform the setup of the BCOCC, the Border Controls Operations Coordination Committee, as a mechanism to realize, you know, so far what you have achieved. We had the pleasure to work with you and support the development of a 5-year strategic plan for the BCOCC. And this builds on the BCOCC's achievements and milestones since its inception and provides a comprehensive set of goals, strategies, and objectives guiding the BCOCC for the betterment of our borders. I would like to commit once again, it's one thing to have a very good strategy, but another to actually have it realized. So from IOM side, I would like to assure you that we are ready to support you in implementing this strategic plan, because I believe it's an excellent plan. But beyond that, Waziri, you have done quite a lot in terms of coordination, in terms of working together. Kenya, again, is one of brings together all ministries, all non-government actors with migration-related functions. The NCM really works hard to ensure this coordination, to look, even go beyond, you know, working closely even with the BCOCC and the Border Management Secretariat, ensuring that you indeed coordinate. I have Ambassador Bitok here, the PS Immigration, who has been leading, you know, on your behalf, Waziri, to bring together all the different stakeholders. And I would like to mention that you are one of those countries that have gone ahead to develop a very comprehensive strategy for the NCM, but beyond that, the Global Compact on Migration. It's the first in the sense that the GCM implementation plan for Kenya has a very comprehensive monitoring and evaluation framework, meaning that you're holding, you don't just sit and talk migration, a meeting, Kenya, because of what you had learned, it was amazing. You were shining, and I would like to commend that you keep that bar high, because you have set it high, and it should stay there. So besides the NCM, the GCM, I think toward the end of last year, you developed a very comprehensive curriculum, for the border frontline officials. My brother, Dr. Omolo, officiated that, and the curriculum is bringing together all the frontline officials to look into border management, border security, including border and trade facilitation. Because as we said, we cannot just have a visa-free. We cannot just open the borders, but we have to ensure that things are done in a safe and dignified manner and in a very fast way. But that can only happen if we have the sufficient skills and the capacities in place. So the curriculum are intended to build the capacity of the different government officials, the frontliners, to make sure that indeed things are done in a more holistic way. Then we heard about the joint operations centers which are being established, and would like to be here, again to commend you to even open more, which I think you had recommended from the discussion that we had from Dr. Omolo. From IAM's side, there's a lot which government of Kenya has done. I think if I was to mention everything that you've done so far, including the joint patrolling in those very difficult areas to reach, but you have done a fantastic job. And we are very humbled to be part of this process, to work along with the government of Kenya to ensure that indeed, as you establish your very comprehensive and integrated border management system that contributes to human security, peace and development, we are there, and would like to ensure that we will continue supporting your efforts, that you continue to shine, not just in Kenya, but I would say in the region, so that in the long run, we can leverage really migration for development. We address issues of human trafficking, issues of smuggling of human beings, including goods within Kenya and the entire region. Again, I don't want to take much time, but to congratulate you, Waziri, and your team for the excellent job that has been done by your team, of course, under your leadership, but also to congratulate all the members that are here in our midst this morning. This shows that indeed you're all committed to learn from each other, that you can take some good lessons from one another, because as we said, no man is an island. We all benefit from one another. So we want to see that the lessons that we have learned, the good practices, we can leverage on those for development. Thank you once again, and our panelists, all our participants, I wish you the very best deliberation from our IAM side. We are ready to continue working this journey with you. And lastly, without forgetting our dear development partners, our donors, you had the BMM EU who is funding that, but besides the European Union, we have had our distinguished donors who have been very, very generous. All these works on border management, we heard from the US government. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're here today, but from Japan, Canada, really you have done a fantastic job, from the government of Korea, plus many others. So really, thank you so much. And my colleagues from IOM, thank you for the hard work. We have our headquarters team here, Donato, Donato comes in from headquarters to give you, the best. So there's coordination at country, regional, and headquarter level to stand with you, because we know border management and security issues are very sensitive areas. So we want, all hands on deck from the organization to support you. Asanteni sana, and I wish you the very best.
Nadhani anastahili makofi mengine. Asante sana. Now it's my pleasure to invite our Principal Secretary, State Department for Internal Security and National Administration, who is also the chairperson for BCOCC Border Control and Operation Coordination Committee. I request, sir, that you may want to recognize the membership of BCOCC as you start your speech. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Nyayo, the Secretary, Border Management Secretariat. The Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Professor Kempinski, who is my minister, the minister in charge of Interior and National Administration, my PS colleagues, PS Ambassador Bitok, in charge of Immigration and Citizen Services, and PS Dubat, in charge of the East African Community, as well as my PS colleague from the United Republic of Tanzania, the Chief of Mission, Sharon, our partners and the Excellencies ambassadors from the Federal Republic of Germany, as well as from Czech, who are representing the EU, the Honorable Gabriel Tsongoyo, who is the chair of the committee that oversights not just the State Department that I head, but the ministry as a whole, alongside other MDAs within government, the heads of various delegations. And it's interesting to note that as we are discussing about border management, we have representation from all the countries that we share our borders with. So to the east, we have Somalia. Up north, we have Ethiopia and South Sudan. To the west, we have Uganda. And then down south, we have Tanzania. And of course, our friends from the region. I want to say in a special way, karibuni, mjisikie mko nyumbani, because this is home. Now, let me also appreciate the teams that have worked together to ensure that we have this conference that will be running for the next 3 days. The team at IOM, the team at the BMS, and all the colleagues who work with us. Now, before I say much, let me introduce or ask the principal members of the BCOCC, which I chair, the Border Control Operations Coordination Committee, to just stand up so that we can just acknowledge you in a special way. The principals, Bitok, Dubat, the DGs, and I know there are a number of representatives also here. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Let's be seated. So ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Now, it's with great pleasure and profound honor that I want to welcome you all to this inaugural National Border Management Conference. And as we gather here today, we want to embark on a journey of collaboration, integration, and solidarity in the realm of border management. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for gracing this occasion, and that with your presence and also with the unwavering commitment to help and support us secure our borders. Cabinet Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this conference, as you've all heard, is on building on coordination and moving towards integration. And it serves as a beacon guiding our collective efforts towards a safer and more prosperous future. It encapsulates the essence of our shared vision, which is Mipaka Thabiti kwa Ustawi, which is a vision of seamless, coordinated border management systems that transcend boundaries, that foster integration, and provide a firm footing for legitimate trade and movement of both people and goods in all ports of entry and exit. Indeed, we are in an effort to secure our borders and to facilitate legitimate trade and travel, not to restrain it. And Madam Sharon has put it in a way that I cannot overemphasize, that we must be able to strike a balance between facilitating trade and movement, but also making sure that we do it in a secure manner. As we delve into the proceedings of this conference, our foremost aim is to forge stronger bonds of cooperation among the diverse array of stakeholders involved in border management. From the various state departments, the State Department for Immigration, the State Department for ESC, Health, Shipping and Maritime, to agencies including the National Police Service, the National Intelligence Service, the National Counter-Terrorism Center, the Kenya Coast Guard, Kenya Airports Authority, Kenya Ports Authority, the Kenya Maritime Authority, the Kenya Revenue Authority, Anti-Counterfeit Authority, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and all the other relevant ministries, departments, and agencies. I want to reaffirm that each of you play a pivotal role in safeguarding our borders and upholding the rule of law. And by fostering a culture of collaboration and synergy, we can amplify our collective impact and mitigate the many challenges that confront us. CS, allow me to highlight some of our most significant achievements since embracing this multi-agency approach at our ports of entry and exit. First is that we've been able to establish better and coordinated approach to data collection and analysis. This has translated to improved capacity and effectiveness in our individual and joint operations. Two is that through the enhanced sharing of information and resources among the various law enforcement agencies, it is now easier to identify and respond to threats that are of hybrid nature, including cross-border and transnational organized crime. And in this regard, we are progressively reducing the use of forged travel documents, illegal migration, human trafficking, smuggling of weapons, trafficking of narcotics, and money laundering, among other crimes. Third is that we have significantly improved clearance of persons at our points of entry and exit, and also increased the volume of trade, which is thanks to the smooth movement of people, reduce the visa-free regime, and we are progressively working to address the bottlenecks that has been occasioned by that process. But to a larger extent, this is a major success that we are experiencing, and as a country, and of course for the landscape is constantly evolving, and we must work jointly in the establishment and implementation of a robust entry and exit system. Central to our discussions for the next 3 days, enabling as well as those hindering effective coordination amongst the. Now, Kenya has witnessed remarkable strides in border security and management through investment in advanced technology to detect threats more swiftly. Training our frontline border officers through a recently introduced curriculum, which is known as the Kenya Coordinated Border Management Program. Then regionally integration to harmonize border control policies. And I'm happy that today our PS in charge of ESC and our colleague from Tanzania in charge of trade are all here, and they're progressively engaging within that framework to ensure that the ESC actually works for the good of all its citizens. Now, we cannot, of course, afford to be comfortable as transnational crime, terrorism, and other illicit activities do not know borders and boundaries, and they thrive on the absence of cooperation, exploiting the vulnerabilities to perceive our points of entry and exit lens. Let us therefore seize this conference to exchange ideas, innovation, and a shared sense of purpose. We can overcome this challenge. I want to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude to our partners, starting with the IOM. Based on what we've been able to do together with the Border Management Secretariat, and it dates back to years before some of us took the offices that we currently are in, and we are looking forward to even better coordination and cooperation and sharing best practices. CS, just to mention that Kenya has become a case study in border management, and we've had delegations from across the world coming to see what we've been able to do. Let me also extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, the CS, for the leadership and also always offering guidance whenever we need to make decisions, and the support that you continue to give us as the PSS who work under you to discharge our responsibilities. Now, to the participants, your presence here today is a testament to our shared dedication to upholding the principles of security, stability, and prosperity. With those many remarks, I want to again welcome all of you to this conference and looking forward to very good deliberations in the next 3 days. Thank you. Now, before I take back my seat, let me have the privilege to introduce to you my Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Professor Kindiki, who is the CS in charge of the Ministry of Interior and National Administration. The CS Kindiki is an advocate of the High Court and an international criminal court, the ICC, and he obtained his LLB from Moi University and then proceeded to the Kenya School of Law. He has a master's in international human rights, law and democracy, and a PhD in international law, both from the University of Pretoria, South Africa. Earlier on, the CS was a lecturer of law, and then he also served as a senior lecturer at the University of Nairobi, rising to the level of the dean of the law school. And I think it's probably a record that hasn't been broken, having been one of the youngest to hold that position. He also served as the Secretary of the National Cohesion and Integration under the former President Mwai. Senate Majority Leader between 2013 and of the Senate between 2017 and 2020. He is a distinguished scholar, NHCR and UNDP, who are very important partners to us. And is a member of Academic Council, International Association on the Study of Forced Migration. So I think we need to give him a panel to chair.
Because I don't know where you got that info. No, introductions can go either way. I saw when PS Raymond was introducing the members of the BCOCC, and then he said the principals. College principals, only to see my colleagues. So thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity first and foremost to I do recognize first and foremost who have come from other countries, come to this conference representing the United Republic of Tanzania, the Federal, and the Republic of Uganda. These are our brothers, our neighbors, and border control programs possible. The European Union, which is represented here by the Deputy Head of Delegation. Also the Deputy Ambassador of the Federal Republic. The oldest and most consistent friends of Kenya. We also have representatives from other countries here within Africa. We appreciate them in absentia. All of you welcome back. That applies to all of you. This is home. That's why we've made Kenya a visa-free country, because archaeologists tell us that the origins of human beings can be traced to a place called Turkana in Kenya. So any person who is a human being coming to Kenya is coming home. So welcome home. And the more reason why the government has decided to make Kenya visa-free, because people don't get visas to go home. And we've just asked for some information, those who are coming home, so that we know, for purposes of making sure that our borders are secure. And the little matter about the electronic travel authorization is just to make sure that we know who is coming back home, so that we can prepare for your homecoming and treat you well, and treat you well. And also prevent those who may want to take advantage of coming home. If they have other intentions, we prevent them from coming. So I know we have some administrative and procedural issues we are dealing with gradually, and we'll straighten up that space to make sure we make it much easier for anybody visiting Kenya to come freely and also leave freely when it is their time to go to other destinations. PSs who are here, PS Raymond for Internal Security, PS Bitok Affairs, our brother PS from Tanzania, responsible for trade, the DG for Immigration, our subnational security officials, regional commissioners, police commanders, county commissioners, civil society organizations who are represented here, members of the press who continue patriotic duty of informing our people. All of us, good morning. Good morning again. This conference is about border control and border management, and allow me just to highlight a few things that are connected with our being here for the next 3 days. First, it is with a profound sense of duty that I stand before you today for this inaugural National Border Management Conference. I extend my sincere appreciation to all who have joined us in this momentous occasion, and I express my gratitude to the organizers for planning the crucial gathering, which underscores the importance of cooperation and collaboration in securing our nation's borders. Thank you very much, those who have organized this meeting, and the support of the International Organization for Migration has been indispensable and valuable to our country. Thank you very much, IOM, and I promise that we'll continue working, the government will continue working with you and helping you even as you support us in this very important matter. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow delegates, as we convene here today, it is imperative that we reflect on the critical role that border management plays in safeguarding our nation's sovereignty, protecting our citizens, and promoting regional stability. As you are aware, Kenya borders serve as vital conduits for legitimate trade and travel, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures, not just within our neighbors, but the whole world. However, these borders also present challenges in the form of transnational crime, terrorism, and other illicit activities that threaten the safety and security of our people. Therefore, it is our understanding that borders and border control activities and programs are about laws, policies, institutions, institutional approaches, actions, and programs to regulate cross-border movement of people, goods, and even animals. And the aim is to protect the homeland, and through the against illegal entry, illicit activity, and other threats. I also want to, by way of setting the context and the environment for this conference, say that for us to create border control efficiency, the need for coordination is important. First, the coordination within the national agencies that are involved. And here in Kenya, we have the Border Control Operations Coordinating Committee, BCOCC, which is chaired by the PS responsible for internal security, which exercises oversight over operations of respective agencies at the ports of entry and exit, and also formulating and implementing policies for the management and control of our borders. Other than the intra-national cooperation, there is of course need for bilateral coordination, which is the reason why all our brothers and sisters from the neighboring countries are here, because we are all one, and what they are doing in their countries is important to us, the same way what we are doing here in Kenya is important to them. And of course, the need for multilateral and global coordination. And that's why we have our friends and partners, brothers and sisters from outside the immediate neighborhood. As I have said, the aim of this coordinating agency or body is to oversight the multiple agencies that are involved in border control and management, and also to formulate and oversee implementation of the laws and policies in place, create efficiency for trade facilitation, and the movement of people. And therefore, the question that lingers is how do we move this coordination? And I see that is the theme of this conference, towards integration. There are, of course, a number of challenges in this endeavor to coordinate border management and control programs. And the first one is the changing nature and the changing definition of the border. As you're aware, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, the border is the place where countries exercise their territorial control and jurisdiction. It is the place where compliance to the country's security, health, agriculture, trade, and other laws take place. It is the place where compliance is assessed and enforced. However, the concept of the border has changed, qualitatively speaking, because today, while the physical border still exists, there is also the virtual border, which has brought its own complications, and has become even more critical to manage and control, even more than the physical border. So as we struggle in harnessing our efforts to control and manage the physical border, we are confronted with the virtual border, which is giving us even more complications. As you're aware, traditionally, we have always looked at our national borders in terms of the airspace, the sea, and also the land territorial boundary. But the fourth space, with the mainly, which has come as a result of technology and convergence of the digital and technology space, has presented the cyberspace as the fourth frontier of the nation's vulnerability in terms of security. So even as we struggle with the physical border, we need to increasingly look at how we coordinate our activities to protect our virtual borders. The second challenge, of course, is how to manage non-intentional risks, because traditionally the border control management has been focused on intentional risks, where people who are either criminals or dealing with illicit goods want to access the territory unlawfully against the law. But we have cases of non-intentional risks of people who pose a risk to the country through inadvertent and unknown to them, and this is more so in areas like biosecurity, where people access the territory, but they are already exposed to biosecurity threats, and it's not intentional that they are in that situation. The third challenge is how to coordinate the plethora of institutions and agencies. You have customs, you have port health, you have trade, you have standards people, quality standards people, you have security people, you have immigration and customs people and everybody else. How to coordinate that and leave the traveler happy is a big issue for us, because the traveler wants to deal with government as one agency, as one entity, as opposed to the multiplicity. So there is multiplicity of inspections, authorizations, and this is something that going into the future we have to confront. And number four, because of the complexity of the security threats that we continue to face across the world, there is need for huge investments in border control technology. And for many countries, including countries that are fairly well off economically, managing borders in the light of modern threats requires huge resources, and not many countries are able to put together the kind of technology that is required for effective border control and management, including the virtual border that I talked about. All said and done, the traditional way of securing our territories will still remain to be relevant, and therefore the traditional security hardware will remain crucial for countries in the immediate future, even as we look at the changes that are driving us to looking at things differently. In this regard, I am pleased to report that the government of Kenya has made significant investments in equipping our security forces with the latest equipment, technology, and resources to combat threats to our national security. And this we are doing through the modernization of equipment of the National Police Service and also the National Intelligence Service, together with the Kenya Defense Forces, which are our organs of our national security. We are in a serious and deliberate modernization program to make sure that our police service, our intelligence service, and the Kenya Defense Forces have the latest equipment which are able to secure our borders. And we are also investing seriously in cyber security to make sure that our cyberspace as a country is also threats that we continue to face. So, to allocate funds to support other agencies, including the Immigration Department or Directorate, that equipment and technology helps us to control. Putting on more funds to make sure that we equip all our officers in all the agencies to confront the emerging security challenges effectively, and our ability to combat terrorism and criminal activities, but also we can effectively monitor and control our border, preventing illicit activities from crossing in, but for our neighboring countries and the world. Secure borders are therefore travel, fostering closer ties with our neighbors and advancing regional integration efforts. We create an environment conducive to economic growth, job creation, and social development, benefiting Kenya as well as other countries. Ladies and gentlemen, central to our discussions must be the development of a robust policy and regulatory framework that provides the necessary legal and institutional infrastructure to support our border management efforts. Such a framework should encompass comprehensive legislation, clear mandates, and streamlined procedures to ensure coherence, accountability, and effectiveness in our border management operations. Furthermore, interagency cooperation is essential for success in border management. No single agency can address the myriad challenges posed by border security alone. Therefore, we must foster a culture of collaboration and information sharing among all relevant stakeholders, including law enforcement, immigration, customs, intelligence, and all key stakeholders involved in the day-to-day operations at our ports of entry and exit. By working together seamlessly, we can maximize our collective impact and enhance our ability to detect, deter, and respond to security threats along our borders. Ladies and gentlemen, technology and infrastructure play pivotal roles in modernizing border management and strengthening our security capabilities. Investment in border infrastructure is essential for enhancing our situational awareness, improving our border control processes, and facilitating seamless cross-border movement of goods and people. Further, the development of technology enables us to identify emerging threats and deploy resources more efficiently. Moreover, improving border management to facilitate legitimate trade and travel is not only essential for economic growth, but also for promoting regional integration and fostering closer ties with neighboring countries. Secure and efficient borders are crucial for reducing trade barriers and enhancing market access for businesses. Therefore, we must prioritize investments in border infrastructure, streamline custom procedures, and strengthen cooperation with our regional partners to promote trade facilitation and economic development. How does the future look like in this space? Currently, border control, border management is about biometrics, immigration stamps, exit controls, exit permits, travel documents, visas, electronic travel authorizations, ETAs, and so forth. Into the future, this space of border control is moving towards less of the management of the physical borders to more effort in the management of the virtual border, because that is where the threats are going to concentrate in the foreseeable future. And therefore, the border of the future is going to be secure, but contactless, with less human interaction, but with a lot of security checks and controls. The use of technology, in particular digital technology, is going to become crucial for future border control and management. Future border control and management is going to be driven by data. And that is why big data is irrefutably one of the key drivers of the fourth industrial revolution. And therefore, in this space, data is going to be crucial. If you have the data, you are able to secure your territory. If you don't have the data, it doesn't matter the hardware and the human resources that you deploy. Without data, it's going to be very difficult to secure our countries and our world. I also foresee the increasing use of artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and other emerging technologies where border control and management is going to be shared between human interactions and the use of machines. The border of the future is also going to be a synergy, connection, and shared responsibilities between the public and private players. And therefore, this area, which has traditionally been government-driven, is going to be tempered or a bit influenced also by private sector because of the increasing role of private players, not only in the whole space of human capital movement, trade, and so forth and so on. And also the increasing involvement of the private sector to provide border control solutions through public-private partnerships. And therefore, the private sector is going to have a seat on the table going forward in border control and management. And therefore, that is where we're moving to, from the physical to the virtual, more use of technology, the integration of emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and so forth, but also a private sector participation. Let me add that although we are investing in the manner in which I have said to secure our nation, it is important that we provide a culture, a security culture among our people, not just the people of Kenya, but the people of our different countries and the people of the world. The security will best be achieved when there's a culture of a security consciousness by the citizens of the world. Therefore, I would like to emphasize the importance of vigilance, patriotism among the people of our countries, and our collective security is not just the responsibility of law enforcement agencies, but it requires the active participation of every citizen. I urge each one of us to remain vigilant and to cooperate with law enforcement authorities to report crime at the border points or elsewhere in our territories, and let us stand united in our resolve to protect our countries and also to uphold the values that define us as proud Kenyans, proud citizens of the world, and proud citizens of the countries where we come from. And together we can build a safer, more secure future for the generations to come. I am honored to be invited to this esteemed conference, which serves as a platform for dialogue, cooperation, and innovation in border management. I haven't been in this kind of a forum for some time. As you've heard, I used to be an academic, and this used to be my daily menu. But over time, I got into other duties, and the vagaries of duty have taken me away from spending moments like this one with people sharing ideas on how to shape our world. Most of my activities now are more practical, and I have less of these opportunities. And I don't want to say I envy you, to say that it's good for me to be part of what you're doing here. Role of knowledge and critical thinking in terms of solutions to the problems that our world faces today, including security problems. I urge, therefore, I look forward to your fruitful discussions and to seeing the output from this meeting, which I'm told is the first of this nature. And we also look forward to being invited to other countries also, to come to your countries and learn from your experiences as well that others have. I wish you well. It's easier without hurting our security interests, not just for Kenya. Looking forward to seeing the output of this conference. Horizons, and we will see how we translate that thinking into practical solutions to make sure. My pleasure. Even as I do so, I don't want again to forget appreciating the Federal Republic of Germany. I also don't want to forget thanking once more and wish you well. It is now my pleasure to declare this conference officially open. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause, kindly. Thank you so much, Waziri. That marks the end of the first session. I'm aware we need to do a very quick photo. Stella, where are you? Then thereafter, we'll have a break of about 30 minutes, then we converge here to continue. Please advise us, Stella.
Thank you, sir. We will have a lean team participating in the group photo to commemorate this inaugural National Border Management Conference. I will be calling up a few of our delegates to join the chief guest and his panel. And as I call them up, I will ask our chief guest kindly indulge us as we rearrange this podium so that we may all fit here for the group photo. I will ask the PS for East African Community, Mr. Dubat,